Barbara Rose here. This video is for training my trainees how to work with my autistic daughter in our Sunrise program, using our version of the Sunrise program. And it's based on the other video, which you can also find on the site, about all the steps that I train people, and every point is somewhere on this structure. So you can watch the other video about the participant progress pyramid. This particular point we're working on today is the adding variety level, and we're going to be talking to an actual person, but we're going to right to the point that I was going to train her on, which is we're working on pitching a new activity with the child, because it's like everybody with autism is a little averse to new things. That's why they're autistic. If they were super cool with everything new, you wouldn't be watching this, and I wouldn't have a program. So everyone be cured and normal. All right, so today our person who's sitting right here was working on my daughter writing down all this information about some dandruff that she was like shaking out of her hair and looking at a microscope, which is kind of a cool, fun thing. Like, scientists write things down about everything that they do. Like, they say, like, you know, what color is this leaf and how big is the leaf, and they measure things, and they like do other types of recording. That's just a normal behavior. It's kind of cool. It's from the real world. So she's learning what real scientists do. Okay, but she's kind of like she's barely interacting with you in the video. So she's kind of like got like slumped down here. We can even just play a little of it. But she just basically says something like, why don't we look at this dandruff or something like that. And then like my daughter Anna is just kind of just staring down. And you can see my daughter's on the mattress here in the purple shirt, and she's here.
Let's list like some characteristics of it or something.
Right? Let's list some characteristics of it or something. Here we go. And she's like saying, well, let's just write something down.
When you observe stuff, Anna, in science, you have to write down what you're observing.
So when you observe things in science, you have to write down what you're observing.
Yeah, Tom does it all the time.
That's her brother.
So, can you write dandruff for me on the top?
So she's having her write down stuff about
Otherwise,
dandruff.
Oh, okay. Do you think you could tell me? Oh, of course I can.
That's our bird clock. Just ignore that bird sound. There's no bird in the play.
You want to cut it. That's really nice telling you.
It's celebrating what she's doing.
Perfect. It's a nice little square. If you don't want to write it, Cutie, you can ask me to write it.
She's
Of
like,
course I can.
you can barely hear her say, oh, that's good.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right here.
Dandruff, because that's what we're looking at.
It is kind of useful to watch this video on here. Yeah.
All right. So the first thing we're going to look.
But notice how she's like super not participant. Right. First you got to write the color of it. Okay, so see how she's not really responding?
What?
Nice. That's great.
Let's say it a little slower. Characteristic. Say it all together. Characteristic. So like a character, you know, in the book, like DW. Yeah. You know how to say character, right? You can say character, right? Yeah, and then...
Nice, she's whispering it. Nice. This is really excellent. She barely... Woo! Okay, and then she almost immediately goes into a bigism, because we're going to talk about this in a second. I want to kind of stop.
So characteristic, Anna...
Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so the two things you introduced here were two activities. One of them was, can you say this word, which you did a way better job than you did with the microscope. But you were saying, can you say this word? And then she's like kind of saying it, and you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then you have to say it again, yeah, that's even better. And how about this? And you know what this means? And you're introducing all the things about it, which is great. You can do more with it.
Okay.
You probably could have used other examples, or actually there's other feedback we can do about this, about celebrating like at her face, because you're kind of like saying, you're both staring down at something and you're saying, yeah, that's good, but you're not really directing it at her. But that's aside from the point. There's other things to do with that. The main thing is the thing about the microscope and the activity with the dandruff, which is also kind of adding variety. What happened was, you said like scientists, they have to write things down. I think your exact words, have to write things down or should write things down. We have another trainee here, so I can look at you people. Okay, so that you're supposed to write you're supposed to write it down, and she's kind of like appears to not be motivated to do that. And so my question is, first off, why you would I'll just ask you the question, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to answer a whole lot now. But like, why you would say like you kind of like you have to and you should, rather than like, wouldn't it be great if we wrote this down? Because
Right.
and you try to pitch it. And one of the main things. So this is really going to be about pitching an activity. Okay, it's going to be a little different. There are other people are trying to pitch like, here, let's like throw this back and forth, and they try to pitch like that, or let's do this, or let's draw that, or let's do pin the tail on the donkey, or whatever it is. But like the whole thing behind pitching is you kind of get up and start doing the thing, or making it fun, or explaining why it would be in the child's best interest, why it would be so exciting to do it.
Okay.
Versus like, we're supposed to do this, and you kind of, it's fine if you say, well, scientists do this all the time.
Right.
And you could even use examples. I would put real examples, but even if you said that and she was that weakly interactive, you would, and here I'll talk to the audience here too. If somebody's that weakly interactive that they're barely, if you're saying, can you say, or can you write something with dandruff, you have to say, well, if you want me to do something with dandruff, you can just ask, which by the way is great that you moved on that feedback instead of asking yes, no question.
Yeah.
But like if you said to do that and she kind of like isn't doing it, it's like you need to get more buy-in. That means you have to figure out why it would be great for her, and really briefly, why would it be interesting or fun or really useful in her interest to do the activity?
I feel that it would help her understand maybe Tom and how he works and why he likes to do his stuff, and then that could create a connection between them a little bit more.
Well, so that's cool, but you didn't actually say that to her.
No, I know.
Right, so you want to bring whatever you're thinking that you think is a good idea, and then...
I guess I said that's what Tom does. That's how I brought it in, but obviously that wasn't enough at all. But yeah.
But let's even say that she's kind of like, well, so that he does that, like, I don't really want to... Let's say she's thinking, I don't really want to do that. Because if she really wanted to write the characteristics about the dandruff, she would have been doing it. The fact that she's not doing it means she didn't really want to do it.
Right.
Then you have other options, which is like, oh, you know what we could do? Let's get a piece of paper. And you like grab a piece of paper, and you're like, ooh, so let's like write down about the dandruff. And I personally would think how this turns into activity. I'd be like, we can write it down, and let's say what's something you would write down about it?
The color.
The color. Okay,
Yes.
so then you could say, what's something you could do with that information?
The color.
We
could draw it. We could compare it to stuff that we see on a regular basis. Like snow.
Right. Okay, but for example, right now we don't have snow. So what's something else you could? I'm thinking like you could do another look at something else on the microscope and look at household dust and how does household dust compare to dandruff?
There you go. Okay.
You could be like, I don't know, what's dandruff made of, Anna? Like, I don't know. You could Google it. You could go like, I wonder if there's different kinds of dandruff. I wonder if my dandruff and your dandruff look different. So you could be like, okay, let me do it here. See if you can get any for me. Let's get a brush. It might be hard to get dandruff on you. I don't know. Or you could be like, what's something else that's small in the house that you could, that sort of, she would be like, oh, that's cool. I want to see if how big is it compared to salt?
Yeah.
Let's take a piece of salt. How big is it compared to like, or how does it compare? Do you have any idea what to compare dandruff to? Or why it would be fun to look at that versus anything else?
Well, I was just thinking of like the little difference, like, so we could even look at soap, like laundry detergent.
Oh!
See the difference of that.
Brilliant.
There you
Okay,
go.
so for example, you would be like, okay, so the reason to write it down is like that you can, personally, you can compare things. They stay here and for you to compare them.
Right.
If you just were going to look at it to just say, oh, isn't that cool? It's a dead bug. Ooh, it's got like a big stinger. Then you don't need to write anything down really. Or you could draw it, I guess, but like what are you going to do with that? Versus like, okay, we have a size and a color. This reminds me of other things. But scientists like to distinguish things. Like, this is heavier than this, or this is like, how about does it float? You could have like a little thing of water. You could say, we could see if the hair, you could say, let's note if the dandruff floats, or if the detergent floats, or if the whatever floats, and you have a little teeny thing of water in a bottle cap and just put the little drop in. I mean, I'm saying this is all you could record this.
Right, yeah.
It's like, you could do apples float. This doesn't float. This sticks float, but metal doesn't float. So it's some version of that. That's what scientists do, is they record it so they can make contrasting statements. Okay, so all this gets back to people at home is what you do to make something really appealing to a kid who's autistic, who's not super keen on trying new things. So you, first of all, get excited and take the activity up. So if you're even just doing something simple like, let's play ball. You don't just say, would you like to play ball?
Yeah.
Play ball going to be okay? And you wouldn't even just ask the question. You'd be like, hey, let's play ball. So first of all, you phrase it like it's directly like, let's do it, not like, do you wanna? And then let them get up. You say, hey, let's do this. Wouldn't it be great if we played with, let's throw this bracelet. It would be really
Right.
cool because it's going to move in the air. And you grab the bracelet and go ahead, here, catch. And you just start doing it. Yay! Thank you for catching. And you start celebrating. You celebrate it. You have to celebrate frequently like you did in the second example when you're telling her to say the word and you celebrate it like 5 different times or something. This one you were saying, do you want to write this down? You kind of like barely celebrated and you weren't that enthusiastic taking it up. You didn't just jump in and do it yourself. You were like, ooh, let me write this down. And you have to start thinking, what am I going to write down? Oh, how wide is it? What color is it?
Okay.
You know, and things like that. So you dive in and you celebrate to make it like the reward is that she does every little teeny step or even bits of the steps. And then you celebrate so you invite just by your affect about it.
Right.
And you pitch how great it would be in the kids' interest. Like, it would be great for you because you're going to have so much more fun playing with Tom. Because next time he says something about, I don't know what, you try to connect it yourself. You could say, like, next time he says something about how big his web shooter or whatever it is he's playing with, how big that is, you're going to know what inches are. Or you're going to know, like if you're doing anything with a ruler, you're going to know how big the web shooter is when he talks about that or whatever because you're going to be able to measure it. Okay, so that was 11 minutes, which isn't bad for a start. And again, just to review, because I want to do this to anchor on things, this is the level of adding variety, adding one thing, which is our first level of adding variety because you're not actually changing the roles necessarily. You're just saying, kind of an activity, hey, let's do this. And you're trying to describe why it's fun and interesting and will work for the child, and not in terms of like, because people think you should. Because scientists are supposed to. Because like everyone does it. Like that's not fun. You know what I mean? It's like because everyone's supposed to do it. Like you want to be like, what about Anna? What does Anna like get excited about? Okay, that's it. Thank you for coming. Give your feedback. Watch the other videos, and for sure watch the training video about the training, the whole pyramid, so you get the sense of how this fits into the big context of at least how we train in our Sunrise program. Bye.